Okay, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Commissioners' meeting for November 16th, 2022. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. We've got a full house today for a good reason. Sometimes it's not always good to see a full house when you're sitting up here, but this is a good full house. We appreciate everybody being here. I am going to turn over to our Chief Clerk and Deputy COO, Gail Humphrey, and I think Tom Freitag is somewhere in the room. There he is. Okay.
I'm ready to talk. Thank you, Commissioners. And I said to some of my friends, I don't like standing at a podium. I get nervous, so I apologize if my voice shakes. So, Commissioners, thank you for letting Tom and I speak. In the past, you have yielded some time to Tom and to me as the Division Leader of the Board of Elections, and Tom as the Director, to thank county staff who helped with elections. And we thank you for that and appreciate the opportunity. This election, as you know, we had a new layer of responsibility thrust upon us with Act 88. For those of you listening from home, Act 88 requires us to canvass, which means open, process, and scan mail-in ballots 24/7 until each are processed. Because of that extra layer, we brought in additional county staff to help us do that process, and because mail-in ballots are becoming more popular and they're being a lot more utilized. So we had a lot more to process, specifically over 87,000 that we had to do in 24 hours. So with that, I would like to honor and recognize all the county offices that came to help us. So first, Tom, would you like to ask, and I'm gonna ask each department to stand when I say your department, and then please stay standing. So first, Tom, we have the BOE.
Sure. So I'd like to first and foremost thank my staff from the Board of Elections office, just a few of the members here today, but we had multiple county offices helping our office that Gail's going to go through. We couldn't have done it without everybody helping. We were working till 9 o'clock every night for over a month. Probably a month and a half. We've been working on absentee mail-in applications since beginning of August as they come in for each election. And it's been an enormous undertaking. We're still finalizing everything, but thank you, everybody.
Okay, so next, voting machines warehouse. If you folks would stand and stay standing, please. Our lawyers, our solicitors, I don't know if they're in the room because they're running around doing wonderful lawyer work. We might have one. And IT. General services. Mailroom. Courts, which is, I would want to explain for everyone out there watching. We have judges that are on standby, just in case there has to be an injunction. They're sitting in the court waiting for us. To the same regard for that, the Prothonotari's office has to be waiting there just in case. So I think we have some Prothonotary office people here. There, we do. Okay. All right. The Sheriff's Department. Sheriff's Department plays a pivotal role in transporting of ballots from the voting precincts in all of Lower Bucks, and they are amazing, and they get them up here to Doylestown to be centrally processed. So thank you for that, Sheriff. Print shop. The Purchasing Department helps us process all of our contracts. The Controller's Office, who processes all of those bills for everyone we have to pay. The District Attorney's Office, because they have to investigate if there is fraud. They also helped us this year when someone sent a suspicious package to the Board of Elections. Okay, Area Agency on Aging. These folks, in addition to all the other folks I'm about to announce, came in and helped us process those 87,000 envelopes. Behavioral health and developmental programs, children and youth, clerk of courts, consumer protection, weights and measures, corrections, emergency communications. You can't see them, they're back there though. I know they're back there. Fire marshal's office, juvenile probation. There was a lot of them. Adult probation, Parks and Rec, recorder of deeds, register of wills. They're back there. Security. So I just want to say too about the security department. Like Tom said, that we were in here weeks and months ahead of time processing mail-in ballot applications. When we were here in the building after hours, they had to be here because we kept the public building open. In Quakertown and Levittown, where people were coming in to put in mail-in ballot applications on Saturdays, security had to work on a Saturday to be in that building because those buildings were open to the public. So thank you to our security team for doing that. Tax Claim Bureau.
They're doing their jobs upstairs.
And Joe, who works in tax claim, took on a huge task over the past several elections. He learned how to run our dragon. And Joe signed up to work like a graveyard shift, to be here in the middle of the night in case Tom and I went down.
And he has a newborn.
Treasurer, staff,
Still here.
Still here. And if did I forget any department?
I don't know, I just walked in.
What department?
I'm from the Chamonix Manor.
And the Chamonix Manor, yes, thank you. And the Chamonix Manor and District Court sent a couple folks to us. And not most importantly, but equally importantly, we have almost 1,800 poll workers. So to think about what this county does twice a year, every year, and for you all who come from all over our county, I want to say I am blessed, amazed, humbled by the spirit of the people that work for Bucks County. You take such great pride in helping us do what we do. You come in, you're professional, you know it's serious, you know someone's right to vote is what we all hold very dear, and it's just so amazing. And I just really appreciate you all and the fact that you took time out of your day to come here, and we're gonna keep on needing you, and we're gonna keep on being insanely proud of this whole workforce and everyone who works for Bucks County, and we're gonna keep on proving everyone that we know how to do it. So thank you so, so much.
So I'll let if the Commissioner Marceghi, Commissioner DiGirolamo want to say anything to echo Ms. Humphrey's point.
Yeah, and I know some of you are leaving now, but I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you. There's no words to express our appreciation and actually the amazement of the job that you've done over the last month, and especially on Election Day and past Election Day. Tom, to you and your staff at the Board of Election, and everybody else that helped out, all the department heads for all the help that you've given. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I mean, we say this all the time, and I wish the cameras were on TV so everybody in Bucks County would see how hard you work and the amazing job that you did. So we ought to put cameras in there and let people at home be able to watch at the great job that you did. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
And just quickly, I want to thank you as well, but particularly because you stand as witness to the fact that these are honest, safe elections, done the right way by honest people from our own community. So thank you for bearing witness to that.
Yeah, and that's certainly true. I'm sorry. I know some of you are anxious to get back to work. That's a good thing. Excited, right around at the door. That's fantastic. Or you just don't want to be here for the meeting, which I understand that too. But yeah, I do, as you know, and I've said this to some of the people who were here on Monday doing the count, over the past few years, there's, well, more than a few years, a lot of claims about things being wrong with our elections. And quite frankly, the people who were here today, the ones who couldn't be here because of the nature of their work, the Board of Election staff who's here all the time, you're what's right with the elections. And obviously, we're immensely proud of the work you do, but it's important to understand that there are people like you in all the counties throughout this country. There's over 3,000 counties around this country. All of them run elections. All of them have staff like you who work as hard. The one thing Ms. Humphrey did, it was a fantastic idea, I think, of her to kind of bring you in as soon as she raised it. We said, absolutely, let's do this. She didn't say, okay, only the Republicans stand, or only the Democrats stand, or only independents stand. We don't know what political party you are, and quite frankly, we don't care. The fact that you're here working, the fact that you love your job, you want to do this work, it's neat to be back there and listening. It's, everybody's got their things now. And if some of you have done this now for, 3, 4, 5 elections, and you know what you're doing, you know how to get it done, and people bring in music and food, and there's there's a little bit of singing and dancing sometimes that goes on occasionally, especially early in the morning. So it's a lot of pride here that we have for you, and so we can't thank you enough. So thank you again. And if you want to get up and leave, you're not going to hurt our feelings. It's okay.
Can I just say something real quick? Can I say something real quick?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay, that's all right, that's all right. And they can leave.
They going to sign up for Arizona and Nevada counties?
I don't need to. There's good people there too. Okay, we're going to move on with our next presentations. It is Hunger and Homeless Awareness Week, and we do have a proclamation that Commissioner Marsegui is going to read, and we have some people here who are going to be speaking a little bit about this issue here in Bucks County.
Thank you. So whereas for more than 25 years, the National Coalition for Homeless and National Student Campaign Against Hunger and Homelessness have sponsored National Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week. And whereas the week is meant to educate the public about the many reasons people may be hungry and homeless, and to encourage support for homeless assistance service providers and community food banks. And whereas Bucks County is home to many organizations providing such services, including Bucks County Opportunity Council, Bucks County Housing Group, Bucks County Department of Housing and Community Development, the United Way of Bucks County, YWCA of Bucks County, Valley Youth House, A Woman's Place, Hunger Nutrition Coalition, and the Coalition to Shelter and Support the Homeless, and Family Service Association of Bucks County. And whereas the theme of National Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week is volunteer, donate, educate, act now to end hunger and homelessness. And whereas the Bucks County Commissioners recognize that hunger and homelessness continues to be a serious problem for many individuals and families in Bucks County, and are grateful for organizations and nonprofits dedicated to those who need it most. So now, therefore, do we, the Bucks County Board of Commissioners, proclaim November 12th through 20th, 2022, as National Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week. And in so doing, we commend the Bucks County Opportunity Council and their partners for their hard work caring for the hungry and unhoused people in our community. We encourage all residents of Bucks County to support them however they can.
Thank you. And we do have Sierra Lucas, Joey Deese, and Jeff Fields are here.
Hi. Thank you, Commissioners, for having us, for asking Julie and I to come and speak today. As Commissioner Marseglia said, National Hunger and Homeless Awareness Week is an annual program where people come together across the country to draw attention to the problems of hunger and homelessness. Next slide. Bucks County organizations came together around these issues to bring awareness about hunger and homelessness in our community. And I'm not going to read off the list, as Commissioner Marseglia already did, but many of the organizations that work on these issues came together and have a social media campaign going on through the 20th of November. So check our social media out, and you will, any of the organizations, and you will see about the different events that we have going on during this time. Next slide. Food insecurity is defined by the USDA as a lack of access at times to enough food for an active, healthy lifestyle. In Bucks County, there are 45,970 food insecure people. That's about 7.3% of our population. And that's not okay. It's not okay in our county. It's not okay anywhere. Food is a social determinant of health. It is a public health issue when people don't have food that they need to live a healthy, quality life. So I think something important is that through the 2020 census, one of the things that we learned is that most people who report food insecurity are not living at the poverty level. They have access to SNAP benefits and other public dollars, but most people who are working are the people who report that they're food insecure. That is called the meal gap. They're really people who are working hard every day, but just not able to make ends meet. Next slide. So food assistance programs have been shown to reduce food insecurity in communities. And I can definitely tell you that all of the efforts that have been done throughout Bucks County have driven down the number of people that report food insecurity, especially during the pandemic. We showed up and we gave food out everywhere we can. We had everybody involved in food distributions, and it definitely made a huge impact. So some of the programs, just to highlight a few, there are over 80 local food pantries run mostly by volunteers, but also by faith-based organizations and social service organizations that distribute food daily in this county. So at any given time when someone needs food, there's food available. On a weekly basis, we are running a Fresh Connect, which is a weekly collaborative fresh produce market. We have, since the pandemic, have been doing it mostly in a drive-up method, although our newest site in Quakertown has opened as a walk-up market where people can choose the produce that they want. Typically, people walk away each week with 20 to 30 pounds of fresh produce. There's a distribution in Bensalem that's done weekly by a large organization called Harvest Ministries. They supply lots of perishable and non-perishable foods to Bensalem residents. Rolling Harvest Food Rescue does a tremendous job gleaning, partnering with the farmers in our county. And then out of the Help Center, which is a food warehouse in Bristol Township, we are offering an emergency food pantry for walk-ins, specifically, mostly for homeless people. That typically is who comes to that pantry, but also we do a home food delivery box program and a senior food box program. I think important to note is that several years ago, the commissioners gave us a game changer when you gave us the county cooler and freezer. That allows us to bring thousands of pounds of food in each week and distribute it to the other charitable organizations in the county. Philabundance has been a huge partner in that and helps us to bring in several thousand pounds each week. Next slide. So there are two ways that you can help. Today we are running a Thanksgiving food drive for fresh produce. So think of all the things that you have at your Thanksgiving dinner. This is mainly through the Hunger Nutrition Coalition, but it really is about making sure that people realize that we accept donated produce. We accept fresh food as well. That is going on. There's 4 locations where you can drop food off till 1 p.m. today. And then through December 16th, countywide, we have a food program or a food donation drive going on with Magellan Healthcare, the County Behavioral Health, and the NFL alumni. Specifically, I'll call out December 10th. At the Help Center, we are accepting large amounts of food on that day, and we would love to have all of you donate. All of that food will get distributed right here in Bucks County. And I'm going to ask Julie to talk next about homelessness.
Good morning, thank you. Next slide, please. So it may not be as obvious in Bucks County that homelessness is truly a crisis. Any individual that has to live somewhere that is not meant for human habitation is unacceptable. And in Bucks County, where we are an extremely wealthy and privileged county, the fact that we are seeing over 400 individuals without a home is unacceptable. We've seen in last January and every January, there's a point in time count, or known as the PIT count, where volunteers go out and we count the individuals that are living in places where they are not meant to be living. So those could be unsheltered individuals, they could be individuals that are being provided emergency hoteling or some sort of transitional housing. And we've seen these numbers increase. And there are many organizations that come together to work on the crisis of housing insecurity. But unfortunately, with COVID, with inflation, and with a lot of other issues that are going on right now, we are not real hopeful that this January is going to show us better numbers. But that being said, and Jeff Fields will speak to this in a little bit, there is a lot that the county is doing. So while it is staggering, these numbers, we should remain hopeful that there are things that we in this county can do to impact this. Next slide, please. One of the resources that Bucks County has is a really robust network system of individuals working together to address housing crisis of any individual in Bucks County. So through a partnership of public and private organizations, the Bucks County Housing Link is there and provides a coordinated entry for anyone experiencing a housing crisis to understand how to seek help, how to find shelter, and how to hopefully move into a more permanent living situation. Next slide, please. Family Service owns and operates the Bucks County Emergency Homeless Shelter, which is located in Levittown. And over the past 2 years, we have remained at capacity. And something that is really staggering is that our wait list has grown to the point now where we are seeing over 200 individuals, many of whom are families with children that are seeking emergency shelter. In the past year, the Bucks County Emergency Homeless Shelter created safety and shelter for over 337 individuals. The Bucks County Housing Link, which is the very first point of the Bucks County, the Bucks County Helpline, is the first point of entry into the Bucks County Housing Link. And last year we fielded 37,000 calls from individuals in Bucks County that were facing a housing crisis. Next slide, please. There are so many organizations, as we've touched on, that really come together to try to address the 37,000 people that call that helpline are directed to one of many resources, which could be entrance into the emergency shelter. It could be being connected with a Housing First blended case manager who can help understand why chronic homelessness is happening. It can be directed to recovering housing, transitional housing, being assigned a housing coach, given housing vouchers. And as I mentioned, Jeff will come up in a moment and speak to the gains that we have made in the county by pulling all of these efforts together. Next slide, please. And finally, how can you help? Every person needs a place to call home. We know that housing rates, the cost to buy a house is skyrocketing. The cost to rent an apartment, even a very small, modest apartment, is skyrocketing. But being self-sufficient needs to start with housing, and housing is a basic human right. And so I would ask everybody in this room today, everybody that is watching this live stream, which I hope is many, to think about the stigma associated with being homeless or living at the poverty level, not being able to afford food to put on your table. Stigma is one of the things that keeps us from moving the needle. And so as we draw awareness to this increasing crisis, I would like us all to ask ourselves and look inside. What is it? What are the biases that I have towards someone that is experiencing a housing crisis? What are the judgments that I'm bringing to the table? And I ask that we look at that and we check them at the door and we say, how can we help? Because you know what? If the solution isn't in my backyard, whose yard is it in? And at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Jeff Fields, Director of Housing and Community Development.
Great. Thanks, Julie and Aaron, for being here to talk about this vital issue. It's, lots of challenges that we face in the post-pandemic economy around hunger and homelessness, and, thanks to providers like BCOC, FSA, and the Housing Link providers that Julie spoke about, we are working hard to try to address it. While there are some challenges, with the point-in-time count, it did go up this year. But it is worth noting that for 6 years prior to that, we consistently had seen that number go down, and we're hopeful that as we start to address some of the challenges in the post-pandemic economy, that we can continue to, make gains. Some of the things that we've done to that, to try to move in that direction over the past 2 years, we funded an additional $8.1 million through our department and expanded emergency shelter operations, street outreach activities, and expanded rapid rehousing, which is a model to help someone move from a shelter or street directly into housing with supports. For that rapid rehousing alone, that's an additional 169 households that exited homelessness into housing, which is a 134% increase compared to what we were doing before the pandemic started in 2019. So, we've more than doubled our capacity, and this is the same agencies doing this work who, expanded operations, hired more staff, and geared up to try to meet this need. For the BERA program, or the Bucks Emergency Rental Assistance Program, we've dispersed around $50 million. That's helped 4,500 households with rental assistance to avoid eviction, or with utility assistance. We have seen that lead, if you compare 2019 before any moratoriums and before the pandemic to the last year since the moratorium has ended, we've seen a 25% reduction in filings for eviction, which equates to 1,500 less households having an eviction filed against them just in the past year. So that program is helping to address housing instability and prevent more homelessness from growing. And then the commissioners have allocated over $5 million from some of the most recent ARPA funds that we are just receiving applications in to continue our expanded systems, continue the expanded rapid rehousing, and also look for new and innovative solutions to continue to address housing instability in the community. So we're hopeful that with that funding, coupled with additional funding that we'll continue to try to put into the system, that we can continue to address this crisis and have reductions start again in our PIT count. So thank you all. Thanks for the work, and thank you to our Housing Link partners for everything they do.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for the three for being here. I think we're going to do a picture probably with proclamation. But as the weather gets colder, or has gotten colder, certainly it's something that we need to be more conscious of. The spirit of giving is coming up. I'm sure one of the radio stations will change to Christmas music pretty soon. But that spirit hopefully includes thinking about the organizations that are represented here and we're spoken about, and taking some time to think about what you can do, what you can donate. No amount is too small, no item is too small. It's not a bad idea to call and just say, hey, what are some of the things that you're not getting in terms of donations, and maybe try and fill that void. And it's for organizations too. So thank you for the work you're doing, and we're going to keep doing what we can to help. So thank you. Yeah, we'll do a picture, right? There you go. Thank you again. Okay, next we're going to hear from Billy Barnes, Director of Workforce and Economic Development for the county.
Good morning,
Good morning.
and thank you for allowing me to be here this morning to talk a little bit about the world of workforce, some of our exciting initiatives, what we're doing, and also I want to make sure I get in a couple of shameless plugs on some programs that we're offering as well. I promise to keep it to 5 minutes. We're going to talk about our updates, but I'm also going to share a video as well, okay? So let's kick it off with the work that we're doing behind the walls. As everyone knows, well, most of you probably know in here, we partnered with the Department of Corrections in July of 2021 to offer the very first hiring event behind the walls. So participating in that event, we had 10 employers and we had over 80 inmates that participated, right? And going forward, we knew that we wanted to offer this again, but we needed to reevaluate the way we did it, right? So it was the first time kicking this off. We said, let's just throw it against the wall, see what sticks, see how this goes. Some of the things that we observed while we were at the hiring event is a lot of the inmates didn't really know how to interact with the employers, right? So that was one thing. We were like, we need to do something so when we offer this again, people feel comfortable interacting and people feel comfortable interviewing. Also, we wanted to ensure that prior to putting anyone in front of an employer, we ensured that they had a professional resume, right? So moving forward, we knew we wanted to do it quarterly, but we also decided we wanted to have some type of training readiness, a 4-week training readiness program that an inmate would participate in. They'd get their golden ticket to attend the hiring event, interview, and then hopefully secure employment, right? So after we put the training readiness program in place, we had our second hiring event in July of 2022, 4 participating employers and 27 job seekers. Now you notice the jump in the number of employers. That was intentional as well because we wanted to survey all inmates to see where they planned on returning to the community, what they were interested in doing once they were released, and then we wanted to put employers in front of them that could offer those opportunities, right? And then we're having another hiring event tomorrow with 3 participating employers and 20 job seekers. So I'll come back at a later date to keep everyone updated on who got hired and where everyone is working. Additionally, CareerLink is partnering with the County of Probation and Parole, and we're providing them with office space at the CareerLink beginning in December. This partnership will allow participants to meet with their PO and immediately afterward be escorted over to a workforce counselor to register for PA CareerLink and obtain job seeker assistance and job placement immediately. So we're super excited about that as well. Recently, Workforce was awarded $366,800 from the Department of Labor and Industry to fund a partnership between WED and Bucks County Community College. The idea behind this is to create micro centers. So we will have workforce representation on Bucks County Community College's campus in Newtown, Bristol, and Perkasie, right? So we're hopeful that covering from the top of the county to the bottom of the county will not only be able to serve students, but job seekers that walk in off the street. We will replicate many career links, but on Bucks County Community College's campus. So we're super excited about that as well. These CareerLink micro centers will allow us to leverage resources to benefit students, job seekers, and employers, as well as synergize county efforts to best serve our community. Thirdly, Labor and Industry awarded us a little under $300,000 to fund the relocation of the PA CareerLink Bucks County from its old Bristol location to our new location in Trevose. This new location is amazing. It is updated and it's far more suitable for our job seekers and our employers. We celebrated that move with a grand opening ribbon cutting ceremony on 9/28. As a result of our move, we knew we needed a mechanism to reach out to folks to say, hey, we're no longer in Bristol anymore. We were there for years. but we were concerned that people would continue to come to that location, not know we were at this new and improved location. So what we decided to do is we procured a marketing company, New Soma Communications, to not only create digital, but printed material, collateral, so we could do outreach to announce that new location. And so I want to share with you this morning one of the fabulous videos that New Soma created. Randy, hit it.
Welcome to PA CareerLink Bucks County. Right now, people are searching for jobs in Bucks County. And right now, Bucks County employers are looking to hire. You can get prepared and connected with free services through PA CareerLink Bucks County. Our highly trained staff is dedicated to helping Bucks County job seekers and employers by providing the tools, resources, and guidance to bridge the gap.
Our local network works tirelessly to connect job seekers to employers, mitigate barriers to create more equitable opportunities, and expand career pathways for diverse talent pipelines throughout Bucks County. The result is a measurable collective impact evident in numerous success stories and a strong local economy.
The staff here want to do nothing but help us and make sure that we are successful in being able to find that job.
We realize that everyone has a unique set of circumstances. You may be unemployed, a returning veteran, trying to gain additional skills or training, re-entering after an employment gap or incarceration, or a young person considering the next step after high school. No matter where you are in your career path, we can help you get job ready by providing the tools you need, the answers you want, and the connections for real jobs right now. If you are an employer with jobs to fill, PA CareerLink Bucks County can connect you with qualified local candidates, all at no cost to you, plus help pave the way with support, including posting open jobs, pre-screening assessments that help match employees to employers, candidate sourcing and recruitment events, on-the-job training for new hires, apprenticeship options spanning multiple industries and occupations, upskilling your existing workforce with incumbent worker training, and the job candidates who come your way arrive prepared for the positions you want to fill. That's because job seekers can connect with a PA CareerLink Bucks County workforce counselor who provides guidance and genuine support every step of the way. As a job seeker, you can create a winning resume and share it with employers who are a good match for you. Polish your interviewing skills, access free training and gain certifications for individuals who qualify. Assess the skills and experiences you already have and discover how they fit in the workplace. Search and apply for jobs with our easy online tools. Learn about financial aid options to further your education. Our Veterans Outreach Specialist can help returning veterans discover how to leverage valued skills in the workplace. Our out-of-school youth program offers free high school equivalency instruction and employment services for eligible Bucks County youth ages 16 to 24.
It is a great time in Bucks County for our Bucks County employers to look at apprenticeship and be able to really harness the power of all the preparation that we're doing of our job seekers today.
Already have a diploma or equivalency? You may qualify for employment services as well. And our in-school youth program can help you determine your career pathway.
I've been coming to PA CareerLinks to get my GED, and it's been very supportive and helpful.
If you are re-entering the workforce after incarceration, you can rest assured that we can help you successfully re-enter your community and the workforce. Together, we can create a plan and provide you with support and guidance every step of the way. We connect employers looking to hire great people with great people looking for employment in Bucks County. If you are ready to make a connection, contact PA CareerLink Bucks County.
Now, you know, staff is super excited about this for a couple of reasons, right? So one way that this is going to help us is this is going to allow our business service team to just shoot out a link to employers that they're trying to reach out to say, hey, you're not familiar with the PA CareerLink? Open this link, follow up with us, contact us, and we can help. Same thing with job seekers, right? We can send this to all of our partners, to community-based organizations that we're working with. They can in turn send it to their customers, and then that's how we can connect our job seekers to the CareerLink. So we're really happy about that. As I mentioned, New Soma Communication worked on several other videos for us. Resume writing video specifically for reentrants to speak to how do I create a resume if I've been locked up for the past 10 years, right? That didn't exist. What was out there were videos on YouTube, right? But now we have something professional that not only we can use in the Career Link, but we can use behind the walls as well during that training readiness piece. We have an interviewing skills video that they created as well. And currently they're working on a business services toolkit that will just wrap all of the services all into one piece that business services are offering at the Career Link that we can flip that out to employers. So we're really happy about that. And I'll come back at another time to show all the other videos once they're done. And then finally, in 2021, the WED launched the WED Talks webinar series to engage employers and employment professionals in monthly master classes based on timely, purposeful, and expertly curated workforce topics. Each talk covers subjects that provide insight into the most important aspects of workforce efficacy led by trusted experts in their fields. WED Talks are innovative discussions that occur on the second or third Wednesday of each month through the GoToMeeting virtual platform. Now, I just want to give you an update on our next upcoming WED Talk. That is going to be December 14th from 9 to 10. So please join us. Ty Bennett will present Partnerships is the New Leadership, an engaging strategy to build collaboration and consensus through honest communication with organizations. Attendees will get the tools they need to fuel commitment amongst team members to do more, reach higher, and develop their leadership skills. Now, let me just say this about WED Talk. So our last WED Talk, I go on and I do an introduction. I say, welcome to WED Talks, but I'm looking at how many people are registered and how many people are attending. And I'm looking at who's attending, right? So our last meeting, we had about 70 people that attended, right? Now, that's a healthy number. That's good, right? We want to reach more. So please, go on the website, register, attend, put it on in the background as you're doing your other work. You are always going to get a little tidbit of information to take away that's going to be valuable and useful for your everyday life, okay? So I encourage you to register for that. And then finally, our newsletter. You can go to the county's website and register to receive our newsletter. That will keep you updated on a monthly basis on all of our activities, hiring events at the Career Link, anything that the WED is doing. You can take a look at our newsletter and you'll be updated on that. So thank you for allowing me to be here this morning. And if anyone has any questions, Thank you.
No, thank you, appreciate it, thank you. And just a note, and if you haven't heard Ms. Barnes before, or if you heard her before, this won't be a surprise to you. I did want to recognize the fact that the Philadelphia Business Journal did name our own Billie Barnes as a Woman of Distinction for the year 2022. So she was given that award a few months ago, I think. So thank you, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, Billy, and I want to thank you just personally. I didn't get a chance for the warm and thoughtful card that you sent me for attending the grand opening of the facility. So I just wanted to thank you. That was very much appreciated.
Yep. And we're going to stay on the economic side of things here. Commissioner DiGirolamo has a proclamation regarding Small Business Saturday.
Small Business Saturday. Whereas, since 2010, the Saturday after Thanksgiving has been recognized in communities and organizations across the country as Small Business Saturday, a day at the start of the holiday season during which shoppers are encouraged to support and patronize small local businesses. Small businesses are a critical part of the economy, employing nearly 47% of all private sector employees, according to the United States Small Business Administration, and are responsible for creating 62% of all new private sector jobs since 1995. Small Business Saturday drives support and revenues to businesses, with 58% of shoppers reporting in a national survey they shopped online with a small business during Small Business Saturday in 2021, and 54% reporting they dined with or ordered takeout from a small restaurant, bar, or cafe. And the County of Bucks celebrates its many small local businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy and culture. Whereas the small businesses that call this county home deserve our support, especially as we work as a nation to emerge from the uncertain economic times. Now, therefore, we, the Board of the Bucks County Commissioners, hereby proclaim November 26, 2022, as Small Business Saturday throughout the County of Bucks. In so doing, we encourage the residents of Bucks County to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday and throughout the year. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Okay. All right, we're going to move on with our agenda. Public comments, these are on agenda items. First name on our list is Andy Warren.
A couple of things. I agree with many of your proclamations and so forth today. They were very good. Not sure they needed to be 20 minutes, but coincidentally, one of my questions had to do with the workforce development, and that presentation answered many of the preceding questions. I too extend as a voter, the only person left out of the first part, congratulations to our staff. I did notice, though, there was an employment truck from Maricopa County and a county in Nevada outside our doors. Let's make sure we keep our people here. Some could learn from it. And I also would comment on the presentation about hunger, homeless, etc. Newtown Presbyterian Church, Carol Saunders, and a woman with whom I am intimately acquainted, are one of those 80 organizations that feed homeless people. It is a great service. My specific questions about the agenda are item number 10. It mentions C and D, and once before I asked, and it said, it was a change in wording. What, not word for word, but what is C and D? Does it have to do with how much money you get, how you spend it, where it goes, who gets it? Just what is C and D that we're amending? And item number 14B, does the Planning Commission oversee the construction of the, in this case, Newtown Rail Line? I didn't think Planning Commission took an active part in the actual construction oversight. And the last one is item 16E. What is the Startup Bucks County, or Startup Bucks Incorporated? What is that organization? What's it do?
Okay, all right, thank you. We'll get to those questions a little later, answer those questions a little later on. Next person on the agenda, public comment, is Ed Mackhouse.
Ed Mackhouse from Buckingham. I commend you on all the work, everything people said today about what you've done in election, hunger and homeless, workforce and economic development. I think that's really very good work, and that's very important. You deserve a lot of credit for all that. Looked at the item 8, housing and community development. We want everyone to have a house, not to be living on the street. And I've talked to people who are living on the street and have lost their houses for things. I've looked at courts and stuff. What are the problems? A lot of these problems are related to drugs, alcohol. The Alcoholics Anonymous, they have a thing where you confess your sins, that there's a higher authority. I believe the entitlement mentality, that everyone's entitled to stuff. I think, I know landlords, my grandmother had a property to rent to some people, and they destroyed it. So I was a teacher, and ninth grade girl confessed that she fell asleep in her bed smoking and caused a fire in the house. So a lot of the problems of people in incarceration and stuff, it's emotional. Other thing is economic, like this is that everyone wants to move in Bucks County, and it's a great place, but it can be degenerated. One time, California was a great state. Now you have people pooping on the street. You have millions of people coming in from the border. The border is not, so how do you handle that? How many millions of people can we take care of in Bucks County? And Bucks County is sitting on a gold mine that we have a lot of, everything costs money, environment, if you get pipelines down, we can feed the world energy, reduce the energy costs. People working can't make their ends meet, gas prices are doubling. If we make proper use of our environment and resources in Bucks County, we can not only make Bucks County better and everyone can have a job and housing, but we can help the world. The cutting down of our gas pipelines and stuff raised the price of oil, enabled Putin to finance his invasion of Ukraine, caused millions of people to lose their housing. Refugees come here. We have to handle it. There's a limit to what we can do, and we have to use our resources properly. The response to the pandemic got 40 million people unemployed, closed 40% of our small businesses. We have to recover from that, and we have the resources to do that. And I appreciate the example that Bucks County is setting, and hopefully Philly and other areas of California can turn their stuff around.
All right, thank you.
Better, thank you.
Just, thank you. Just a reminder, these are agenda item comments, supposed to be focused on agenda items. Vonna Darmond?
Anna Jarman, Plumstead. I was wondering if you could clarify with the Human Relations Council, which is item, I don't know, like 5B, 18, something like that. How are people chosen for this board? How is the board diverse, not just diverse, in terms of people and culture, but also diverse in political affiliation? And do the commissioners, what role do you play in that? And I understand you sit on the board as well. And is this, or council, I should say, are all agencies that you guys appoint people to, are they subject to right to know requests under the Sunshine Act? If you can answer that, I would appreciate that. Also, if you could help me understand item 7 under the Health Department, B7. You're purchasing vaccines from Sanofi Pasteur for flu, almost $26,000. Is this for employees? You guys cover, is this like an employee offering? Does this go to residents? What's that money being spent on? And are employees required to get vaccination, or is this a choice that you give them? And then also, you're under item 4, your first item to vote on, A, approve the minutes from the last meeting. So according to the Sunshine Act, anything that you guys vote on must be made available to the public. So I look on the website, I do not find draft minutes. I cannot see anything you have written down that you are going to be voting on. So you all say like, hey, let's vote on this, and yep, you all vote for it, but what are you voting for? I don't know. And then finally, after you vote on it, it gets posted. One of the things that was said last meeting, Mr. Harvey, is that you basically said that ballot harvesting was legal, that as long as you had a designee form, I could be one designee for 100 people. And I don't think under PA law that is correct. So I want to know what the minutes are going to reflect on that, because you didn't put out a statement to clarify that. You didn't let people know. Now it sounds like you're saying it's legal, other people are saying it's not. And you want us to trust you, and you want us to think that our elections have integrity, but you're making it very difficult for us to do that. And now when we have a contested race, where literally it comes down to very few votes that could determine who leads the legislature. Is it going to be the Republicans? Is it going to be the Democrats? The integrity of the vote is critical. And I think that, do you realize how you are harming and how you're creating?
Okay. All right. Thank you. Mhm. All right, those are the only names under agenda. Just to address a couple of the questions that were asked. Mr. Warren asked about Appendix C and D, which are related to ARPA funding. Those are related to insurance requirements, I think different insurance requirements that the county, was it the county or the state requires? The county. It's a county requirement in terms of insurance that anybody we're contracting with. So in terms of the Planning Commission, I know Rich Brailer is here. Mr. Brailer, do you want to just address real quickly the Planning Commission's role with the trails? You have to, yes, come to the, sorry, up to the podium. Sorry. Your boss left a little earlier, so now he left you here to answer the question.
So basically, we oversee the project. As part of this particular project, it was constructed by JDM, and we hired Pannoni Associates to be our construction inspectors. So they did all the day-to-day work, and then we oversaw it and paid the bills and all that.
Okay, all right, thank you. And JDM is JD Morrissey is the contractor. Yeah, okay. So it, yes. Yeah. The other question was about Startup Bucks. Startup Bucks is basically a program to assist entrepreneurs in Bucks County, small businesses that are just getting started. This is set up, it's a nonprofit, really. Basically, it's a nonprofit run by some civic-minded people here in Bucks who we've been partnering with to help them. You know, ARPA has allowed us to give them some funding. They give some small seed money to some small businesses that they vet. It's not exactly like Shark Tank, but any small businesses have to make a pitch basically as to what they're doing. I think some of the ones that they financed, I know there was one that was about, there's a Bucks County company that was working on training, I think, dogs to be like therapy dogs. There was one that was also doing research on devices that could measure impact on someone's head to measure concussions, things of that nature. So it's a pretty wide variety. There was a beauty supply company that was actually making beauty products here in Bucks County, just people starting out. So it's a way for us to help. Not too different from the VC for BC, the venture capital for Bucks County that we use. So, questions about the Human Relations Council. The commissioners do not sit on the Human Relations Council. I don't know the political affiliation. Members of, I don't ask political affiliation for anybody. Myself, I don't, and don't think the other commissioners do either. I ask political affiliation of people that want to be on our boards. For the Human Relations Council itself, it is more independent, very similar to the Pennsylvania Human Relations Council. They have the ability to field concerns that are raised by residents in the county about things they feel are happening, that they don't have investigatory powers, but they can certainly turn that over to the Pennsylvania Human Relations Council, or if they feel a crime has been committed, they can turn it over to the district attorney's office. The Human Relations Council itself, they'll essentially nominate members to the commissioners, and the commissioners, I think, as long as I've been here, have just accepted the people that they have asked us to consider. In terms of right to know, I'll turn to our solicitor in terms of how, for all our boards and authorities, who's subject to right to know.
Yeah, Commissioner, I think the question covered the process of putting board appointments on a regular agenda. I think it's important to say at the outset that the process for the commissioners is the same, which is that anyone they're going to appoint, they'll list that on the agenda, and it'll be subject to public comment and a vote. But these authorities, boards, committees, sometimes are all very, very different. In some cases, you have the board being responsible for all the appointments, such as the Housing Authority. You have organizations like the SEPTA Board or the Prison Board, where the commissioners make some of the appointments, but not all of them. And then you have also, and I should say, many of these organizations, but not necessarily all of them, will be subject to the Sunshine Law. The commissioners created an entity, I think the official name is the America 250 Commission, which does not spend money, does not formally give advice, and so although the commissioners do make appointments, I don't believe that that organization has seen itself subject to the Sunshine Law. So it depends on the organization. In cases where there's more of a direct association, something like the Planning Commission Board, for example, you will see on the county's website listings of meetings. You will see the commissioners going ahead and submitting the meeting dates in the newspaper themselves as opposed to leaving that to the agencies. So there's a different answer for every question. It's not for me to give legal advice about how these different laws work in terms of the Right to Know law and the Sunshine Act. However, the Pennsylvania Office of Open Records has a very excellent website. It has a whole bunch of resources and a frequently asked questions section, and that is openrecordspa.gov for anyone who wants to get answers to those questions.
Okay, thank you. All right. Okay, moving on with our consent agenda. We have the minutes from November 2nd, 2022, as well as resolutions 1 through 17B. Is there a motion to approve the minutes and the resolutions?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We'll move to regular agenda. We have the personnel actions. The commissioners list, there is one correction that needs to be made for items 27 and 28 of the commissioners list. The effective dates are listed as 11/19/2022. The effective dates should be January 1st, 2023. So that one correction for the commissioners list, items 27 and 28, that's the correction that needs to be made. Is there a motion to approve the personnel list for commissioners as amended?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Board appointments. To the Bucks County Housing Authority, Ms. Lynette Ingram. She will be appointed for a term that will end on November 16th, 2027. For the Human Relations Council, Mr. Bernie Hoffman is being reappointed. Mr. Lawrence Notiff, Mr. David Bokel are being appointed. Mr. Hoffman's term will end August 1st, 2025. Mr. Notiff, Mr. Bokel, their terms will end November 19th, 2025. Is there a motion for those 4 appointments?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Other 6 contributions the commissioners are making to the African American Museum of Bucks County, $1,500. To the Bucks County Association for the Blind, $1,600. To Families Behind the Badge, $3,000. To the Ivans House Resource and Referral Center, $2,500. To the Peace Valley Holistic Center, $3,000. Motion to make those contributions.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And we're up to the Chief Operating Officer's report. Ms. McKevitt?
Thank you, Commissioner. I just have two points to make here. One, I just want to thank Gail for that lovely tribute to the staff. That was wonderful. You and Randy, Tom, Gail, Jen did a great job leading the staff to another successful election process, so thank you. And then second, we have the budget coming up. We have our hearings next month. Dave and the rest of, I want to thank the county staff and the row officers for their help and assistance in preparing this budget. It was not an easy process, but we will get through it, and we will do as we always do, which is provide the best possible services to our constituents. I believe the public meeting is next month. Dave and I will sit down and go through the budget and then make our recommendations, and that will go forward at the public hearing. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Solicitor's report.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner, I'll begin by just reporting on the executive session the board had yesterday. It's standing executive session. Met with staff and legal counsel to discuss personnel matters and receive updates on pending litigation. I also wanted to announce the latest event being hosted by our Public Defender's Office Expungement and Pardons Unit. I see our public defenders here, so perhaps you'd like to do the honors. If not, you want to come up? As Ann Rusovich-Faust is coming up, I'll say this really builds really nicely on the wonderful presentation Ms. Barnes did this morning. Among the excellent points that she made was the fact that there are these barriers to employment that WED is constantly working with potential job seekers to mitigate. Part of the work the county has done in the last 2 years has been creating this unit in Ms. Faust's office. I'll let Ms. Faust take it from here.
Thank you. The Bucks County Public Defender's Office has an expungement and pardons unit. People can come any day of the week, make appointments to see us to talk about if there's some way we can help them with these issues. But we are having an off-site event at the Percy campus of the Bucks County Community College on December 10th. It will be in the CareerLink office from 9:30 till 1 p.m. that day. 3 of our attorneys who do the expungements and pardons will be present to help people get started with the process, see if we can help. So we ask people to please come and see if we can help them.
Thank you. Are there any questions, commissioners? Okay. If not, then that completes my report. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Faust.
All right. One thing I did forget to mention, I was just kind of flipping through here. There was a question about the health department expenditure, $25,978. Purchase of influenza vaccine by the health department. That is for employees, for residents of the nursing home, and also for inmates in the corrections facility here in Bucks County. They are voluntary, although there may be a few, maybe employees in the health department, in the nursing home.
So the nursing home, right.
Yeah, who have to get it. I think for the protection of the residents, I think it's a requirement for them, but otherwise it's voluntary. So. Okay, brief public comments. First name on the list is Ilka Werner.
Hi, I am wondering if I can hand to you one page from the ballot box clerk training manual. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Mike can.
Can you give it to the security officer?
Yeah, you can give it to Lieutenant Ben there. He can hand it to us.
Oh, thanks. So at the bottom, which you now cannot see, this is our training manual, which shows the state law, Department of State's, the law regarding designated agents, and then the interpretation from your Board of Elections. And what it says is, with this completed form, the voter can drop off the ballot of one voter unless multiple voters live within the same household as the designated agent. And then it just tells us what to do with them. So I did watch the last meeting. It happened to be while I was watching a ballot box at the Warminster Library. I'd like to ask Commissioner Harvey to correct his statement from the last commissioner's meeting where he stated, quote, PA law does allow, and this has been repeatedly said over and over and over and over, PA law does allow for someone to drop off more than one ballot if they have a designated agent form for the person whose ballot they are dropping off if it's not theirs. If you can go under the law. You can go to a senior center or nursing home and get 100 ballots as long as you have 100 designated agent forms from each of those voters. You are allowed to bring 100 ballots. That's the law, end quote. So as you can see, that's a blatant misstatement. Well, as you can't see, it's a blatant misstatement. To date, I have not seen Commissioner Harvey or any representative of the county correct this. So what were the repercussions? Multiple ballots were dumped at Yardley Makefield 2 days after your comment, and Northampton 3 days later. Any ballot box clerk will tell you that we have been met with
Sorry,
hostility.
Ms. Werner, your time's up, Ms. Werner. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Andy Warren?
Don't start my time. I defend you. I forget.
Don't worry, that's all right. Thank you. That's a thought that counts.
I refer back to a speaker this morning about homeless. I want to plagiarize her comments. One, she said, referring to homeless, whose backyard is it if it isn't ours? I want to use that very same comment referring to drugs to fentanyl and their source. There are 1,342 counties, plus or minus, in the United States. Bucks County has a population of roughly 640,000 people. That's close to or larger than 2 entire states. You three, as the highest elected officials, have an opportunity, I contend, an obligation to speak out on behalf of the invasion of drugs and illegal people coming into the United States, because it is our backyard now that the Texas governor has sent some of these people up to Philadelphia, our border, and it's coming here. I heard the other day that last month, as many people died from fentanyl in the United States as died in the entire Vietnam War. That's absurd. You three have an opportunity, an obligation to get your fellow commissioners from around the country to speak out, close down the bloomin' border, and control drugs. We've spoken before where I did defend you about stopping drugs and the terror of them. Use the platform you have.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Priscilla Linden. Priscilla Linden.
Priscilla Linden, Upper Makefield. Thank you. I signed up today to say thank you to the Board of Elections for conducting safe and secure elections, both in the primary in May and the general election last week. I had no idea until this morning, however, that more than 1,800 people from the Bucks County staff and volunteers contributed to this effort. So I am now even more appreciative. I hope that as you meet tomorrow as the Board of Elections and hopefully conclude the ballot review process, that you ensure that every citizen of Bucks County who is registered to vote has one's vote counted. The electorate, both in Bucks County as well as across the nation, has soundly repudiated attempts to suppress or oppress people's right to vote. I hope that you will too. Allow all registered voters their right to vote and their votes to be counted. And one more thing. As I do every meeting, I object to partisan paraphernalia being worn at this lectern by the speakers. It gets in the way and diverts attention from the important work for the citizens of Bucks County. Thank you.
Thank you. Ed Mackhouse?
Ed Mackhouse, Buckingham. I wear this paraphernalia because I believe in a balanced nation, balanced bipartisan nation, not a one-party dictatorship. I noticed, like in the Inquirer, Epoch Times gives good information on things, but the Inquirer does editorials on the front page as well as the other page. It says Hillary was able to question the election of Trump, but questioning the election of these other elections is not considered properly. They're considered like we're treasonous or something. I think I've investigated, like Philadelphia, I investigated Bucks County and your queen. The only question I'm not sure about is this 100th thing about nursing homes. I don't think it was done or anything was done there, but I don't know. It was some misunderstanding. But in Philly, I observed that they have these, here we have someone at the booth and they check it, one person, one vote. In Philly, I observed they took photographs. They have it on the street so that the mules can come and just drop multiple ballots in there. There's no one to check it. It's open 24 hours a day. And I got photos of it. I was there. I visited. There was no attempt under the DA or the district attorney, Shapiro or Krasner, to enforce the law to protect the balance and integrity of the election process. And they have maybe 12% of the polls in there have Republicans in there, and they throw them out. So I don't know. I was there at the last election. I was threatened in the 2020 by these people. I know people were inside, and maybe they were Democrats, and they saw the corruption and the counting of the ballots there. So we have to deal with the corruption other places and set an example. But don't just gloss over the January 6th. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Vonna Darmond.
So Pennsylvania Democrat officials vote to count ballots harvested from local nursing homes while lone Republican opposes decision. These ballots could determine the 142nd legislative district that could decide control of the Pennsylvania House of Representatives.
Guidance from the Department of State in 2020 concerning this. Do you have that to read? I think their guidance was not to count.
Okay.
The Department of State. Separate addresses. It's one address for the entire facility.
Correct. All mail is received centrally for these residents, and none have a unit or apartment number. They all simply have rooms that they live in within the long-term care facility.
To accept the remaining ballots from Crestview and Valley Manor. Is that how, was it Valley Manor?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second. Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No, opposed.
Thank you, Jean, for opposing that vote. How can you possibly tell us that the election has integrity when you are allowing ballot harvesting, when you are going against the law? And the way that you have the election integrity is the knowing where that paper is going, how many hands have touched it. If you're having one person harvest hundreds of ballots, how do you know what's happening there? It leaves too much room for question. But mostly, let's look at the law and what the law says. And we know now from somebody else, an employee, that employees were getting harassed, a bunch of ballots dumped, and the employee's job is to say, wait a minute, I have to make sure that this is legal, and they're getting harassed. You created this, not okay. And I'm going to keep talking about it.
Thank you, Ms. Darden. Joe Frederick? Joe Frederick?
Good morning, Commissioners. I just wanted to say thank you to the BOE for their leadership in this election, and all the department heads that were involved in it. But it's not done in a vacuum. The leadership comes from the top. It comes from our three commissioners, and I especially want to thank you for what is done and what's been done in this election. I know there's some questions here and there about our elections. That happens all the time. But these elections were free, fair, and thank you again. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right. Okay, we'll move on with our commissioners' comments. Just so board members are aware, I was told before the meeting began that our American Sign Language interpreter does have to leave at 12, so we do have to keep ourselves to a little bit of a schedule here of the next 11 minutes. Commissioner Marseglia?
No comments.
Commissioner DiGirolamo?
If I could just, a couple minutes, we have 10 minutes, thank you. First, I want to thank Gail again for the presentation today, for the work that you did. It was really warranted and worthwhile to see all that, and I could tell by the smiles out there on the face that the employees who work are very much appreciated that. So everyone understands there were 40 people that started at 7 o'clock, and 40 people worked through this extra people over and above the Board of Elections, and we were able, even with 80,000 envelopes to open up and not being able to start till 7 o'clock in the morning, we were able to have most of them opened and counted Very soon after midnight, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, most of it was done. And it was just a terrific, terrific job that you did. Thank you. And real quick, I want to address maybe Andy Warren's comment, because he's been making it for a while, about these drugs and the border and the drugs coming over the borders. I know Ed mentioned it. Andy, you know, whenever you see former Representative Paul Clymer say the prayer before different meetings, he's bringing it up in his prayer about the problem with the fentanyl. And there's a new drug that's being mixed now. It's called, Dave Kratz with the Department of our Corrections saying he's seeing it more and more. They call it Trank. And it's a veterinarian, they use it as a sedative to put horses and cows asleep. And it's showing up in the heroin and I think the other drugs. It's called xylophone, I think the name of it is. And we don't know where it's coming from. Fred, I don't know if you know where it's coming from, but I don't think it's coming across the border. I think it's being somehow manufactured right here in the United States. And you're right, Andy. I mean, the border, and I think when you talk about the border, you mean Mexico, that these illegal drugs are coming over. And you're absolutely right. But they're also coming in all over the place, and by boat, by plane, through the mail. I mean, what can we do? I mean, I think I would know if I was in charge and had a say. I think I would know what I do. And people tell me all the time that I don't talk about what I've done and what I just got an award last Thursday from the statewide group of drug and alcohol people for my work on drug and alcohol issues. It was down at Penn Rin right here in Ben Salem. There were people from all over the state, and I got an award. Boy, if I had to look at this problem and these drugs coming over the border, I think I would commit a significant amount of our military all across the board, Navy, Coast Guard, Army, Navy. This is an attack on our country of a grand point. You mentioned 50-some thousand people more than were killed in Vietnam in the 5 or 6 years of the war, and that is absolutely true, and I think that's a low number. I think it's much more than that. And this new drug, this Trank, it is not an opiate. So if it's mixed in with the heroin and you're overdosing and you get Narcan, it does not work. It won't work because it's not an opiate. It'll work on the heroin, it'll work on the fentanyl, but it won't work on this xylophone or the Trank that they're calling it. Our Department of Corrections is detoxing on average 7 to 10 people a day. This is a big problem, and you're absolutely correct. We need to address it, and it needs big solutions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, a few things just to wrap up. I want to thank, this is sort of a day to thank Ms. Humphrey, not only just for the elections, but also we finished our first round of leadership training for employees here in the county. We had about 20 of we like to think of as future leaders here, chosen by their managers, by the division leaders and others to go through leadership training. We partnered with Community College to do that. Our next round of leadership training starts in January. So we're looking forward to something. This is something we wanted to do coming in, and we're very happy about getting it off the ground. In terms of the election, I want to thank all of the, obviously the voters, the staff we thanked before, but for those people who put their names on the ballot, certainly, there's a bunch of us sitting up here who have done that. And I've said this before, it does take a lot of courage to put your name on a ballot and then find out exactly how many people don't like you. It's a very humbling thing. It's a very humbling thing. So it is something that I do give credit to anybody who takes that step, no matter what party they're in, and wish for those who were successful, including our own clerk of courts, Brian Monroe, who's going to be moving on to Harrisburg. Congratulations, and we urge you to do what's best for your constituents. We're sure that you will. In terms of the election, certainly accusations being thrown around, which is not unusual. I have actually no issue with the vote I took yesterday. I will defend the right of people with disabilities to vote. I will defend the right of senior citizens who are not able to leave a nursing home, aren't able to get out, or who need assistance with voting. To deny them that right, I think, is un-American. So I will stand by that forever, whether I'm in office or not. Just earlier this week, we had the pleasure of launching a new program, partnering with a gentleman from Pendle named Ed Preston. I'm going to give him credit for this. We are embarking on a program to dedicate county bridges in this county to members of the military, Bucks County residents who died during Vietnam. The first bridge was in East Rock Hill that we dedicated just the other day to Army Corporal Kenneth Warman, who was a graduate of Penridge High School, played football, all Bucksmont football player. His brother was there and spoke a little bit about him. Some of his family and friends that he grew up with were there. You know, his brother mentioned the fact that he and his brother and the rest of their family grew up in some pretty tough economic times. And Ken was being the oldest son when he got his draft notice, was actually able to get a deferment. He didn't have to go to Vietnam because he was considered you know, a source of income and support for his family. But he said he didn't feel right not going. And his brother quoted President Kennedy, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." And he said that his brother really felt that, really believed that. His brother was killed in 1967. He was wounded multiple times, but was still continuing to push forward to try and save some of his buddies who were wounded and paid the ultimate sacrifice. So this is something we're going to be moving forward on in terms of looking at other bridges throughout the county and working with Mr. Preston, who's put together a very comprehensive list, and we're excited to do that. And finally, just want to wish everybody here and all around the county happy Thanksgiving. As you saw earlier today from the presentation, you know, we do know there are families in Bucks County who have food insecurity. So we ask, as you're out buying the stuffing and the potatoes and the turkey and sweet potatoes and everything else that you're buying, to consider maybe buying one or two extra things and dropping them at a local food shelter so that other people can have a happy Thanksgiving too.
Can I say one? Sure. I'm sorry, there is one thing that I did want to say. We heard a small, tiny part of our Board of Elections meeting yesterday. It was just a snippet, but if you listened to the rest of it, you would have found out how much our Board of Elections investigated those two households of people in nursing homes and the person who delivered each of their votes. But I just want to tell you that if you've never taken a parent to a nursing home, you don't know what it's like when you pull up there and you realize this is where your parent's going to live and probably die, and it is their household. And the people who take care of them day and night become their caregivers. It is one large household.
Thank you. All right, entertain a motion to adjourn.